All right. Welcome to Zooming with Dan on Sunday, the 21st of June, which represents Global MND/ALS Awareness Day. Certainly a big day on the calendar for all MND/ALS associations across the world. But we'll talk a little bit more later about what the day means and whatnot. It's also a day for all associations across Australia, where we finish our brand new and exciting Australian Moves for MND campaign. I bring that up now. I'm 25 kilometres into a bit of a 52 kilometre challenge today, so bear with me. I am defrosting a little bit, but we will definitely get there. Absolutely delighted to have Kate Johnson, CEO of MND Victoria, obviously my boss, with me today. Kate has been with the organisation 14 or so months now. It's certainly been a huge 14 months for her and the organisation in general, but a lot has happened in that time. Kate took over from previous CEO Rod Harris, who had been with the organisation for decades. I'm sure he won't mind us saying that. But yeah, Kate has been a very welcome addition to the team, and I know we've all embraced her, and I think she's embraced us, we hope. But I might hand over to Kate now to talk about, firstly, what Global MND Day means to her, and more broadly, what it's been like fitting into the MND space, not only here in Victoria, Australia, and all across the world. So Kate, hello.
Good morning. Thanks, Dan. Yes, and it is Global MND Awareness Day today. A really special day for the MND community, a day where we can recognise and raise awareness of the 2,000 or so people in Australia living with MND and the 420,000 people worldwide who live with MND. And for us, it's a really great opportunity to talk to the community about MND and its impacts and raise awareness of the work that we do to meet the needs of people impacted by MND, not the work that we do with people who are diagnosed, but also in supporting their families and friends and colleagues and the professionals who also provide support to them. And look, it's one of the days that makes me so proud to be doing the work that we do in providing care and support to people living with MND, and to be able to, as I said, raise awareness and provide support to researchers so that we can help to find the causes, some treatments, and ultimately a cure for MND. And it's a special day that brings us closer to our sister organisations across Australia and across the world, knowing that we're all working towards a common goal, so towards the day where hopefully organisations like ours may not be needed.
Absolutely, and I guess just like MND Week, which we all went through at the start of May, it's a day where we can all feel, and this includes people with MND and their families and networks, that we're all not alone. There's a lot of people all across the world working for this great cause.
Absolutely.
As I mentioned earlier, Kate has been with us for 14 months. Kate brings a wealth of experience in many facets of the sector, and Kate tells me she's going to stop studying, but I feel that she does love her study and does love upskilling. So how about you talk through your previous experience, in other roles that you've had, and what led you to MND Victoria?
Wow, how far back do you want me to go? Do you want to know I used to ride my bike delivering chemist prescriptions when I was 10?
Only a few years ago.
Probably couldn't do anymore. I was a vet assistant. I absolutely was going to be a vet when I left school. I was a vet assistant from when I was 12 to when I was about 21. During that time, studied psychology and genetics as undergrad, and then postgrad psych. Started my career working in residential aged care as a lifestyle and activities assistant, so driving buses and having sing-alongs and running activities in an aged care facility and later in a retirement village. And then I moved into carer services, which is, I guess, when I sort of found my passion for care and community services. I worked at Villa Maria for a while. I worked for myself for about 7 years, consulting to a whole lot of different community care agencies, and then spent about 6 years at Carers Victoria, starting off managing an advisory and counselling program and moving into being their general manager of care and community services. So I was there for quite some time. Before coming to MND, I worked at St Vincent de Paul for about 2 years, supporting the volunteers that ran the assistance line there, did home visits, delivered food parcels, ran the soup vans on the streets at night. So that was a really different experience for a couple of years. And then I was lucky enough to come to MND Victoria, as you said, about 14 months ago. And yes, I have just finished studying, and I have finished studying. I just finished my MBA and Masters of Leadership, which I did over about 4.5 years, which was really interesting, but I'm pretty glad to be finished.
And there's not really a conversation you can have with Kate where something new doesn't pop up. We could probably talk for hours about all the random things you've done, but you've also been a wedding celebrant.
I have, yes.
You've got many, many great stories that I'm sure we'll all keep hearing over time.
Yes.
Yep. A very exciting and interesting background. MND Victoria, as I said, you've been here since April last year. A lot has happened, not only internally in that time, but externally. Thinking back only 6 months ago, MND Victoria and all charities essentially in the sector were impacted in some way by the bushfires, the major bushfires across Victoria and all other states. Obviously now we're in an unprecedented time with COVID. So talk me through how you've settled in and the experiences you've had in the last little while.
Yeah, I mean, it has, as you say, it's been a really eventful 14 months. As you mentioned earlier, I took over from Rod Harris, who'd been with the organisation 25 years as CEO. So, I mean, they were enormous shoes to step into, but coming to work just to find there's an absolutely fabulous team there of committed people there doing fantastic work. It was really nice to step into a role where there wasn't anything really that needed to be fixed as such. The organisation's really well placed and running really well. So I've had the opportunity to do some exciting things like, giving the building a facelift just to make sure people know that we're there. Doing some stuff to get our IT working a lot better. Meeting some amazing people, the people I've met who are living with MND, the staff that we work with, our incredible volunteers and fundraisers, the other people working in the sector, so being part of those networks, both in Victoria, but also our colleagues across the country and across the world. It has been a roller coaster, as you said, the bushfires impacted some of the people we're providing support to, but also impacted the other areas of our work. And then in the last few months, obviously dealing with the impacts of COVID and lockdown and all that stuff we've had to pedal pretty quickly. So yeah, it's been an incredible 14 months. It feels like I just got there, but it also feels like I've always been there. So yeah.
Pedaling quickly is probably an understatement. And, internally our team is growing exponentially too. And so much to deal with. And I think we are all very excited to have you on board and leading us through these times. I won't say difficult times. I think we're all handling it pretty well. Speaking of COVID-19 and the situation we're in, I think it's very relevant to probably talk through it a little bit more and how the organisation is handling it. I'm actually in the office now for probably the third time in the last 3 months, and it's a little bit exciting. It's a bit strange, there's no one else around, but it's nice to come to my second home essentially. And I've even noticed the changes around. We've got capacity in rooms and offices, and there's definitely limitations that we have here. But not only that, we've got our service delivery, which has been impacted quite significantly. But we have obviously managed and adapted very, very quickly and very well. So how about you talk through that side of things and how MND Victoria and all staff have handled the situation?
Yeah, well, as I said, we did, as lots of people did, we had to move really quickly when we realised around mid-March that we were probably all going to be told that we, couldn't visit our clients in their homes, but that also we would be required mostly to work from home. So we worked pretty quickly to get everyone set up working from home and making sure we were communicating with the people that we support around how we were going to provide their care and support, talking to the other allied health professionals, our suppliers, to make sure that all the services that people need, because of course their needs don't necessarily change during this period of time, we're still going to be able to be delivered. And we were lucky that we'd moved most of our IT services into the cloud, so we are all able to access them from home, which is fantastic. The staff were incredible. You all just rolled with it. And when we said, can you work from home? Yes, we can. What do you need? And people just, there was hardly a lull, I think, in services. We had to make some hard decisions pretty early on. We had a couple of big events coming up before the government had said you can't have these big events. We had to make those hard decisions to cancel those events because they were looking like having hundreds of people, knowing that that was going to have an impact, obviously, on our fundraising. But, our focus really has been on making sure that we continue to provide that quality care and support, that we get equipment to people, that we can meet their needs. So we moved all our service delivery really quickly to remote. We've all become experts in Zoom. You do get a bit tired of looking at yourself on camera a lot of the time, but our clients have adapted very well as well. So our home visits are taking place via Zoom or phone, and the team have just managed incredibly well, and people just seem to have adapted. We took our events online as well, our Day of Hope, our Ask the Experts, our information nights, training, staff meetings, everything's happening via Zoom. So I would say we're providing, just as high quality support. And, there are things that we'll keep that we've learnt through this crisis that have made us do things differently and better. So that's, I guess, an exciting outcome of COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly been a lot of positives. I'll touch on them in a tick, but just talking about service delivery, I know from my personal perspective, we chatted to Emma and Ben last Thursday night, and just to hear that there's absolutely no impact on equipment that's going to be delivered to Flinders Island, of all places, in Tasmania, and we're getting certain chairs across Bass Strait, and yeah, I think just from the outside, seeing that there are no limitations on the services that we're still offering, and in particular equipment delivery, is really heartwarming, really. Going through this horrible pandemic, but the fact that we can still deliver these services is a huge benefit. But yeah, some of the positives for me and in the supported development team is the fact that, as you said, we've been able to bring events that we typically do in person online, such as the Day of Hope and Ask the Experts, which was a month and a half ago now. In the past, we'd have a smaller audience at the venue, but being able to bring it online in a professional way, we definitely doubled or tripled the audience we got previously. So that's really exciting to see. And as you mentioned, we lost some major fundraising events, but the generosity from the public over this time has been mind-blowing. Our tax appeal at the moment, which we're in the middle of, is sitting at nearly $100,000 or thereabouts. And our Australia Moves for MND, a brand new online fundraising campaign, which all states have taken part of, has nearly raised $200,000. And to see how that has taken off across Australia has been sensational. And we really didn't know what to expect. Certainly something we had to pivot on pretty quickly and turn it into an event that fitted the current situation we're in, encouraging people to move in their own homes or in their own neighbourhoods. And to see we've had over 200 registrants and well over 2,000 separate donors to bring us that total of nearly $200,000 has been rewarding from our point of view, and we can put in as much effort from our office as possible, but if we don't get the support from the public, it's going to go nowhere. So I definitely offer my thank you to all the participants and donors and everyone that's helped us along the way, because $200,000 is a huge achievement.
It's really amazing, Daniel, and just the generosity of people through the campaigns that you've mentioned, but those even that have just rung us and said, we know you guys have lost some fundraising opportunities and you must be doing it a bit hard at the moment and I'd like to make a donation. As you said, the virtual campaign was an untried, untested campaign that we had planned prior to COVID, but became so much more important to us and our sister organisations because of the cancellation of so many of our face-to-face events. And it's just been phenomenal. It's been fantastic to see so many people supporting us.
Yeah, and certainly something we've been trying to promote quite heavily online on social media, and we are very thankful for all the stories people have sent in and all the videos. You might have seen some really fun, unique videos of people doing their movement over the last couple of months, and it's been great to see people embracing it.
The sumo suit comes to mind, I think. Yeah.
MND advisor.
Yes, right. Yes.
Yeah, just the fact that everyone's embraced it, and typically people are fundraising not only for MND Victoria, the other state associations, but they're also fundraising for loved ones either are currently living with the disease or may have passed on. So that's a really special thing. We touched on Global MND Awareness Day. It is one of the only days, if not the only day, where all MND ALS associations from across the world recognise this day. How about you talk through the true meaning? You touched on what it means to you earlier, but what is a true meaning of MND/ALS Global Awareness Day?
Yeah, well, MND, as you say, MND ALS Global Awareness Day is the 21st of June because it's the solstice, and the solstice sort of signifies that hope for a turning point in the search for the causes, for better care, for treatment, and for ultimately a cure. As I said, there are 420,000 people worldwide living with MND. It occurs in every country. It doesn't discriminate based on race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status. It happens everywhere. So, and it's a really important day internationally to highlight the hope and belief that one day we'll be living in a world free of MND. As I said, it brings us to work more closely together with our colleagues, both across Australia and internationally. There is an international alliance of ALS MND associations that work really closely together. We had thousands of people come together in Perth in December, all people working in the various areas of MND, from researchers to allied health professionals to medical professionals to support staff, all sharing information with each other about the work that they're doing, and just getting to know the work of each other. And it was sort of really inspiring to see so many people from across the world who were so passionate about making a difference and finding out more about MND so that we can, as I say, find treatments and cure for the disease. Through COVID, obviously, this international alliance has been really important. The International Alliance has been running a number of webinars, and our very own Kathy Nightingale, our Manager of Supported Development, presented on virtual fundraising on the Australia Moves for MND campaign and shared that information across the world with other organisations. And Joe Whitehouse, our Manager of Support Services, sat on an international virtual panel to talk about how MND associations across the world are making sure that we continue to provide care during COVID. So it's been, you know, an incredible support having that international alliance. And I think Global Day just highlights the value of us working together across the world.
A lot of professionals everywhere, and yeah, it's a good day to, I guess, remember that.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's move forward a little bit. You've mentioned that we've learned an incredible amount over the last 3 months about a number of different things, but ultimately our mission and vision doesn't change. We talk about ultimately finding a cure, and we openly say we'd all love to have no job when there's a cure for MND and there's no disease to provide care to. But until that moment, our motto really rings true: until there's a cure, there's care. Talk me through how you see the future of MND Victoria and the future of support services going into the future.
As you say, our mission is to continue just to provide the best possible care and support to people living with MND today and into the future. Our goal continues to be just to continually improve the services that we provide, the quality, the reach of those, so that people can live as well as possible. And also, you know, to expand our services, so to ask the people that we're supporting if there are needs that they have that aren't being met, so that we can expand our services to try and meet those needs. We have a big role also in raising awareness of the impact of MND, but also of the work that we do in supporting people living with MND. And also a role in advocacy for people who are diagnosed over 65, who don't get access to the NDIS and therefore don't get the same level of government funding to provide the care and support that they need. And also we need to continue to find, you know, new and exciting ways to raise the funds that are needed for us to continue to do the work that we do. Yeah. So that's on your shoulders, Daniel.
I like it. I think good place to leave it. I think, you know, I'm certainly very proud to work for this organisation, and yeah, thank you for your time this morning. As I said earlier, I'm halfway through my Australia Moves for MND campaign. Well, far more than halfway through of walking 2,100 kilometres with my wife over the last 50 days. Today is that final day. So we're halfway to meeting up with Joe Mantella, who's one of our incredible volunteers, one of our merchandise volunteers, who has been he's walking 2,100 kilometres by himself in 50 days, which is a mesmerising effort. He will hate me saying this, but he is 72 years old, so just let that sink in. But yeah, so I'm going to go find my wife, Stace, who is a major supporter of ours as well, and a supporter of what I do and what we all do here at MND Vic. I'm going to go find her. I'm going to go find a coffee and get walking. So thank you, Kate, for your time.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your walk. A big shout out to Joe, who's doing an amazing job as well.
Absolutely. Enjoy your Sunday, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Dan.
Bye-bye.